Donald Trump just said he's ending the EV mandate on day one, and Elon said, go for it.
And Tesla looks like it may have done the impossible with the Cybertruck, turning profitability within the first 12 months of production.
And Tesla just confirmed 2 new vehicles coming to production in the beginning of next year with huge implications. Let's get into it. This podcast is brought to you by EVject, the only aftermarket accessory that allows you to safely break free in case of an emergency.
Break free from what?
A charging station. Duh. Should we get into it? I think it's time to get into it.
Let's do it. What else would you break free from in this world?
I don't know.
All right. So Kim, tell me about these 2 new vehicles.
Elon said vehicles, plural. So we can assume that there are more than one.
Yeah.
So that's where I get 2 new vehicles. But You know what? It could be more than that.
It could. And it looks like based on the Q2 earnings report, which we just got done listening to, this is, we're recording this close to 11 p.m. now on Tuesday night, hot off the press. We're talking about possibly the Robotaxi being one of them. The other one being the $25,000 Model 2, let's say. It looks like towards the middle of next year is where this car is going to begin to enter production.
And did you notice that somebody asked Elon if there'd be any more cyber-type vehicles? And then Elon's like, we're going to save those for product release events and not do it now. Which made me think that, okay,
It's happening.
It's happening.
It's happening. And you know what? What's funny is that just a few years ago, 3-4 years ago, do you remember Elon used to bite at every little question that someone would throw at him? He'd tell you and spill the beans and tell you everything about the car and kind of create an Osborne effect. He's gotten so much more careful with it. This time around, maybe get a little hint that it is going to happen.
He said that during the call. He's like, I have to be careful because of the Osborne effect. That's a real thing. So it is kind of interesting if you watch this evolution of these calls to see
how much better he's gotten.
He's gotten a lot better.
Yeah, they said they're going to begin to build these on their next gen platform. And they also mentioned that there's potential for other necessary type vehicles that are in the works. And, we've talked about the van, of course, a bus as well, things like this. So all of these were hinted the next gen platform would likely begin to incorporate some of those into it.
Yeah. So I feel like when you look online right now, there are a lot of articles about the van now. Because that's what people are assuming is going to be built next, which does make a lot of sense. Rivian has their van that's out being used, and you would think Tesla would want to have their option. You would think they'd actually want to be first to the market, but now here it's coming.
They are going to be first at a Robotaxi type vehicle, I think, and that's what we kind of got a hint at, being the other vehicle coming sometime towards the middle of next year. And they moved the date of the Robotaxi unveil.
Yeah. The new date is now October 10th. And I'm kind of like a little bit bummed, though, that I was wanting it earlier. So somebody did also ask him about the first Robotaxi ride. And he said that's really more the first, unsupervised full self-driving ride.
Yeah.
And so that has to be when there is enough miles between interventions with full self-driving. And he said basically he thinks that's coming pretty soon here, if not, by 2025. They did. I don't know if you picked this up. He talked about how the price decrease of full self-driving definitely there's been more.
I did not pick that up, no.
Yeah, more people have purchased it when they've decreased the price.
Okay.
So I'm wondering they'll keep the prices down for full self-driving for a little bit since they've noticed that there's been a pickup. But, I mean, if it gets as good as they're going to say, they won't need to. And there were some questions about regulators because GM is canceling their driverless vehicle, which was kind of interesting because Elon said GM isn't canceling it because of the regulators. They're blaming it on the regulators.
Yeah.
It's really more that they can't make it work.
Yeah, probably more less cost effective than it looked initially to be for them as far as how much of a undertaking it might be.
Yeah.
We're talking about, not a Super Cruise sort of a thing, but we're talking about the actual driverless without steering wheel, without pedals that they had suggested, essentially a Robotaxi equivalent that they were working on that they've kind of scrapped.
He also called Robotaxi a general solution. So it's kind of like as humans, we can travel to other parts of the country or other continents even and drive, and we don't have to have certain data programmed into our heads. We're able just to look around and figure out how to drive, and that's kind of how Robotaxi will operate.
So when it comes to Robotaxi, are they looking at producing these over in California, or is this going to be in a factory
So
elsewhere?
It looks like Texas is what he said. It looks like both Optimus and Robotaxi are going to be in Texas, and he's going to kind of put on a hold with Mexico because if Trump is reelected, he's going to place more tariffs on cars that are built in Mexico. So he's kind of holding off for now until after the election, and then we'll find out more details. But it looks like Texas is really ramping up.
Texas is where it's at, yeah. And speaking of Trump, did you notice that he's looking to end President Biden's EV mandate on day one if he's to be reelected?
And I will end the electric vehicle mandate on day one.
I think this is really interesting, first of all, because there's not like a specific EV mandate, and also because Elon Musk now has gone on to endorse Trump. So it seems a little counterintuitive, but let's go ahead and specify like what we're talking about when we say EV mandate.
Yeah, it's typically referred to as President Biden's EV mandate, the $7,500 federal tax incentive that of course he supports, but it's actually an EPA issued new emission rules for light duty and medium duty cars that people are going to refer to as Biden's EV mandate. So that $7,500, it's something that the EPA is enforcing, and it's supported by President Biden.
Yeah, and then Elon went on X, actually, because people asked him, like, what do you think about this? You just said you're supporting Trump, and now he wants to cancel this. And he said it's fine, and Tesla doesn't have to rely on these tax incentives, but other car makers do. So I have some thoughts about this, and also some comments. I posted a short about this, and there was a lot of debate about it. You know, anytime politics get involved, people get heated, I've noticed. So I'm going to read a couple comments that I've saved from this. This one comes from You Buy Gas, so you can kind of tell what side this person's on. Trump is not going after the EV mandate. He is going after the emission standards from the EPA. So then legacy auto manufacturers can build any type of vehicle they want and not worry about what's coming out of the exhaust pipe. EVs should sell because they are better, not because of some mandate. Elon agrees, and as long as the company keeps producing innovative and stellar machines, he won't have a problem. And that's really how I looked at it, because there was a time when they got rid of the $7,500, you know, tax.
2018, yeah. Tesla kind of reached that first, right? They sold 200,000 cars. It phased out that $7,500. 2022, Biden signed the Inflation Reduction Act that brought back the $7,500 for a lot of Teslas that qualified under the restrictions that were in place. But Tesla's sales, in fact, when it was phased out in 2020, were among its highest, and that was the first year, I believe, that it was profitable. Yeah, like $800 million of net profits during 2020 without EV credits.
So who do you guys think that Elon is talking about when he says other manufacturers do rely on that $7,500?
Hyundai, Kia, you know, manufacturers that have kind of seen a resurgence and been very healthy, and they've produced great EVs. And you would think maybe some of that has to do with the incentives.
So how do you guys feel about it? I'm really curious, like, how I personally feel about it. I feel like I have a little bit of, like, mixed feelings, because yes, like, who doesn't want to save some money when they go to buy a new car? It's like always nice to save $7,500, but at the same time, like, should that be the taxpayers paying for that? Like, you're still paying for it, like, to some degree, right? Yeah. So it kind of makes you think twice about it, and then we think about our economy and the shape of our economy right now, and if this, you know, ending this mandate could help the economy, then you're like, okay, well, maybe but I'm curious what you guys think about it. I don't like to get too political. I like to kind of stay in the middle on this podcast. But if you guys have strong feelings, definitely leave them in the comments.
Yeah, but you might not have strong feelings, but Elon looks like he has plenty of strong feelings when it comes to this Wall Street Journal post. Did you see Wall Street Journal posted on X saying that Elon's committing $45 million a month to a political action committee supporting Trump? And Elon quickly comments back at that post saying fake news. And he follows up by saying he's created his own political action committee that supports candidates that focus on merit-based personal freedom policies, adding the funding is currently far below that amount that Wall Street Journal is saying $45 million a month.
So he could still, though, be contributing to Trump.
Contributing something, yeah.
But something, but not that much. We just don't really know.
Yeah.
So I don't know. What do you guys think about that? Do you think that he should be involved in politics? That's like one of the other things. Like in the past, he kind of, you know, wasn't going to endorse a candidate in the last election. Yeah. And then this time around, right away, he's like...
I will tell you that our comment section from the library of some 600 videos we have on this channel going back 8 years has started to really pop up with comments about Tesla owners that don't necessarily want to support Tesla anymore because of Elon's decision one way or the other. So, I mean, we've seen that to a certain extent before, but now with this news and his involvement in politics a little bit more than previously, I've noticed that small subsample being our comment section where people have started to chime in about their disdain for Tesla specifically because of political.
But at the same time, just kind of playing devil's advocate here, if you are a business owner, how do you not get involved in politics, especially when you own so many businesses, right? Like, he has to think about these decisions really are going to have an impact on his businesses. So at this point, I feel like he does kind of need to get involved, and whether you like it or not, it's just part of the game. And PJ, I am all for making America great again, especially if you can make charging great again. And EVject has done just that. They've sponsored this video and they've created this device that allows you to safely charge your car and disconnect. When you're charging at a station, you're basically a sitting duck for about 30 minutes. You actually have to get out of your car to disconnect. And with this, you could just drive away.
Yeah, it's pretty simple. Essentially, what you do is this acts as a circuit breaker for your charge port. So you plug your Tesla charger into this, then you plug it into your Tesla. And if something pops up outside your car as you're charging, you can easily just hit unlock charge port, drive away. This breaks in half. It protects the charging wand. We've made a video on this as the wand is falling to the floor, and you can essentially drive away immediately and just put the car into drive even though you're plugged in. But again, the circuit breaker is in place once you press unlock charge port. So it gives you that extra peace of mind. And we've heard from a lot of you guys out there that have encountered charging stations where you really didn't want to be out there. You're trying to make it as quick as possible. This becomes a lifesaver. I think everyone should have one of these in their cars.
Last podcast, we said that we'd be giving one of these away to the commenter that picked the shadiest supercharger. So
yeah, let's do it.
Who won? Drum roll.
And the winner is Berkeley 2116. To be clear, shady for some of our international viewers, they thought we're talking about trees
like
covering
actual shade. Yeah.
No, this is more kind of questionable.
Sketchy.
They said their shadiest supercharger was in Shreveport, Louisiana. I was the only one charging at the back of an abandoned mall parking lot with what seemed to be a drug deal going on about 100 feet away.
All right.
So Berkeley 2116. Check your messages.
Yes, you need this. Check your messages. And if you guys didn't win, they're actually offering a really big discount to our viewers, 30% off with the code KIMJAVA. You can just use the link that's in the description down below to get that discount.
And by using those links, you're helping to support this channel.
All right, let's get back to it.
Kim, up next, we're talking about Tesla reintroducing a Model 3 that is near and dear to our hearts. That's my Model 3, the rear-wheel drive, long range. That's been gone for quite a while. It's come back, and it's come back with an incredible splash. 363 miles of range, by far the best value, I think, of any electric car in the world when it comes to what this brand new refresh Model 3 offers with almost 400 miles of range. It's incredible.
And it still gets that tax incentive, the $7,500 off. So what is it priced at now?
So the price is listed at $42,490. With a $7,500 credit, you're coming down to $34,990, but 363 miles of range is unbelievable. And this, again, gives you nearly 100 more miles of range than the rear-wheel drive variant, 22 miles more range than the long-range all-wheel drive variant. It really doesn't get much better than this when it comes to how much value you're getting, in 0 to 60 is 4.9 seconds.
What is the rear-wheel drive priced at?
That is at $38,000, I believe, and it does not qualify for the federal tax incentive. So it is 30. So essentially, 100 miles less for about 3,000 or 4,000 more if you get the tax credit. Not everyone.
So why would, though? I guess if you don't get the tax credit,
exactly.
or you live in another country, that's the only reason why you would probably.
Yeah, and actually, this is not even available outside of the U.S. and Puerto Rico. This new long range one.
So why would anyone buy that? That's my question.
Yeah,
That's my question for you guys. All right, and then we just made a video about this. So you'll have to watch that video. But we have a big discussion on here if it's finally time for us to trade in our 2018 Model 3. I looked up the value of it. It was a lot more than I thought it was going to be. And I'm trying to push this guy over here into getting a new one. So let us know in the comments below if you're Team Kim or Team PJ.
Oh, no, don't do this. You're going to want to watch this video. It's a really good video.
Big news also for Cybertruck. We have a lot coming to it. They're getting a light bar. They're getting new wheel covers.
Yes.
They're getting full self-driving. And they're actually making money.
It's incredible to me. This is as big as it gets. You know, when it comes to Cybertruck's manufacturing rate, they just announced here a couple of hours ago in the Q2 report, the manufacturing rate has more than tripled sequentially. So they're able to crank these out. They're getting incredible demand out of them. They're making money off of them possibly by the end of this year, which I can't stress how significant that is, because you know how hard it is for automakers, globally speaking even, to make money on their vehicles, especially a new one, right away. So Tesla appears to be possibly getting there by the end of this year, so essentially 12 months into production. You keep in mind automakers like Lucid, they're losing about $200,000 per car for every vehicle built. Of course, they have massive Saudi backing that helps them financially. There's also Rivian that's financially struggled in recent months, and the R2 has given them a little breath of fresh air. So making money on any vehicle, even ones that's been around for years, is difficult.
Yeah, and I keep thinking about
new.
Tesla back with Model 3 too, that huge like bottleneck issue it had. And now like Cybertruck, they've brand new vehicle, all new, everything's new in there, and they're able to do that.
Best-selling electric pickup truck as well. Remember last report?
Yeah.
And you were talking about Cybertruck updating its aero wheel covers. We were one of the first people back in February, I believe, to see the wear that was happening on the sidewall of these Cybertrucks from aero covers that we had access to. Well, they made the announcement. They pulled those off. They weren't delivering them for a while. Now it's back. It's redesigned. Essentially looks the same, but they've kind of reduced the little flap that overlaps over the edge of the wheels so that it's not really touching the sidewall as much and digging into it as the tire's in rotation.
People are getting notices that they're going to be shipping these out. Also, the light bar is back.
Yes, so the light bar was one that we've seen in all the advertising from Tesla internally. Well, it's now finally beginning to roll out as well. There was actually a post on X by Tesla's vehicle program manager that mentioned this is coming and delivering very soon to Cybertrucks. It's going to be standard on Foundation Series vehicles and, of course, on Cyber Beast vehicles as well. So a lot of you Foundation owners, there's plenty of them out there as we know, they're going to begin to get the call where they bring their Cybertruck in. It gets that light bar mounted on top. The cool part about this, Kim, is that you have UI access with this. So not only is it designed to illuminate 525 yards, essentially 5 football fields ahead of you for visibility, but the UI lets you kind of fine tune it, direct the brightness to where you want it to be, reduce it, increase it.
That's actually really cool.
Yeah.
It makes me want to get a Foundation Cybertruck now too. So we know the Cybertrucks that originally came out, they kind of came out pretty raw without some of the things. They didn't have full self-driving in them, as well as these aero wheels. They ended up having to take them off. They didn't have the light bar. They're getting those in, and they're finally getting full self-driving.
Yes, version 12.5 is coming out. This is a single stack layer there, combining inner city and highway driving together. Just a couple of months ago, Kim, Elon popped on X and talked about how the focus was on all the other vehicles in the fleet, which was 99% of Tesla's cars on the roads. He said it'd be a couple of months away, and it was exactly 2 months when it rolled out.
He's getting better at his timelines.
Yeah.
It would be super interesting to try out FSD on the Cybertruck, though. That's a video I'll have to make soon.
Can you imagine the yoke just kind of barely moving as you're turning?
For sure. That video's coming. Trust me. So Optimus was also brought up during the earnings call, and Elon basically said that they'll have version 1 out by next year, and they'll have about 1,000 of them working internally at Tesla, just like work out all those kinks. And then by 2026, they'll be out, for general purchase.
I think that changed, right? The timeline shifted a little bit. That was supposed to be right when we thought Elon's getting the timelines right. That was supposed to be next year, wasn't it? I feel like it was sometime early next year we're supposed to begin to see these roll out.
Early next year they'll be at Tesla. So I think that's probably what he was talking about. And they'll have about 1,000 of them working them out. It's kind of like when they first deliver the cars out, they go to employees first.
Yeah.
Kind of work out those kinks before everyone else gets them. But I wonder what they'll do about Tesla employees. Like, will they let the Tesla employees bring them home and test them out?
Yeah.
I bet they will. If you are an employee at Tesla.
Yeah, good luck getting that video. They've got 2 in their factories, they said, that are actively working right now. And again, as you said, they're going to expand this up to 1,000 and then in 2026 begin sales to probably companies and then to people.
I will definitely buy one. Like, for sure. I will buy one.
You know what? This is the first Tesla purchase that's not a vehicle that we need that I would encourage you to get.
I 100% will buy this. Like, 100%.
Something tells me it doesn't even matter if I discourage you on this one.
I don't even care. Like, I will buy it without telling you that's how much I want this one. Usually we discuss our purchases I would say like anything over like $1,000. I will usually tell you what we're gonna do. But with this, I don't even care. And what did he say? They're like $25,000, $30,000 or something. It's
going to be something along those lines.
Which to me I feel like is like not bad for considering all the capabilities of this. And I imagine, it will just improve over time. I'm super excited. I mean, for this to be able to fold your laundry, potentially like watch your kids, which I don't know if I'm there yet, but like all the different things, cook dinner. Like, you can just give it a recipe off the internet that you want to try. Like, all those things on Pinterest that you never have time to do, you give those to Optimus.
I didn't even think about giving him recipes. Yeah, I'm definitely on board with this.
All the things. We are definitely getting Optimus. But I'm not going to call it Optimus. Like, we'll have to come up with a better name.
Yeah.
A name that fits us. I don't know, Mama. Also, people asked Elon if Optimus would have accessories. And Elon, like, was kind of weird about that question. Did you notice that?
I did, yeah.
And then it made me think, like, okay, what are people trying to do with Optimus? Like, I definitely had that thought. And then the other thing is, I was like, are people going to be, like, dressing Optimus? Is there going to be, like, a clothing line? Like, what kind of accessories? Like, let's keep this PG. Like, what kind of accessories would you want for Optimus? Put those in the comments down below. What? Don't get too excited here. Actually, maybe
you seem like you're the one that's excited about it.
I know. Actually, maybe I'll get a break. I mean, but the other thing is, like, Optimus design, they did say is something special.
You've taken every little thing they said and you've made it into something questionable.
This is like this is what happens when we record late at night. You like get like delirious. All right.
11:40.
Exactly.
Oh, man. So moving on to our final story of the day. We're talking about the Rivian R2, the pre-orders. RJ Swearingen, CEO, talking about the pre-orders now climbing over 100,000 of the R2. We were there, I believe it was in April or May. R2 itself starts at 45,000, which basically is a Model Y competitor as well. The pre-orders on this now went from about 68,000, I think RJ Swearingen said, within 24 hours of it being introduced, and now 4 months later, to being 100,000. So it's steadily climbing up.
I love this for Rivian. I'm a huge fan of Rivian, and I hope that they're able to get these out sooner than later. I feel like Rivian is probably one of those companies that still needs that $7,500 tax incentive. Yeah. So I'm hoping they get these out. People want them, and I'm rooting for Rivian. Let's just leave it at that.
Yeah, I think that's it.
I think that's it this week. If there's anything else that we missed, leave it down in the comments below. We'll try to give you our thoughts on it. And thank you guys so much for watching. And look for that link to get your EVject 30% off. And we'll catch you next time.